Hey everybody, Married Man here. To make a simple Lazy Susan, you will need a board cut to the size that you want for the top. Here I'm just using the miter saw to cut it, but you could cut it with anything, even a handsaw. And you want to make sure that it's square or the shape that you want it. If you're going to put a design on it or not, you're going to want to sand it smooth. You're also going to want a board large enough for your base. Here I'm going to keep the process simple by making a square base larger than my hardware for the Lazy Susan, but not very large. And I'm just cutting this to square. I wanted to add a design to this board, so I used Pixie spray to spray a stencil. Once that sits for a minute, you can apply it to the smooth surface of the wood. And once you align it where you want to, you press it down very well, especially around the edges where you're going to be painting or staining. That way you won't have the paint or stain seeping up underneath the stencil. Once I get this exactly where I want it, I take a fingers and I go around each opening, making sure that they are pressed securely to the board. Of course, this is an optional feature. You don't have to use a stencil to make a Lazy Susan. You could have it be a plain board or a board that you put stain, or maybe you hand paint a design onto it. I'm just doing this because I wanted this stencil on this particular Lazy Susan, which I plan on giving away. I just used a sponge brush with my stain and dabbed it on, trying to go from the outside in. When I was done, I wiped off the excess with a paper towel, and then I slowly peel the stencil back, revealing the design. Let me know in the comments if you've done this kind of stencil before. If you used Pixie spray or something else, how do you transfer images? Here, I take the base and I mark the center by going corner to corner with a straight edge. I'm then ready for my hardware, which I purchased at Amazon. This is a 4-inch version, and it works very well and seems to hold up on the ones that I've made previously. Once I place the hardware, I take a punch and punch a starter hole for each of the 4 screws, holding the hardware to the base. You'll notice that whenever the hardware is centered, there's one line running right through the hole on the 4 holes where you're going to do the punch and install your screws. Although I'm using a punch, if you are doing this with hardwood, you'll probably need to drill a pilot hole, making sure not to drill all the way through your board. Some people like to route out an area where the hardware will fit to make it recessed even further to make that gap go away. I find that this hardware is already really thin from top to bottom, and I don't need to do that to keep this simple. I suggest using a screwdriver and screwing in each screw to hand tight. Using a drill or driver might strip the wood where the screws are fitting, causing it to not be able to hold in the future. At this point, turn the top piece of the hardware diagonal, marking a spot underneath one of the holes. Now you will drill an access hole. The access hole will be used to attach the screws to the top piece of your Lazy Susan. Having this on a board underneath would have prevented any rip out whenever I drilled the hole, but I didn't do that. Now we're in the final steps of assembling our Lazy Susan. On the bottom of the top board, we mark corner to corner to identify the center. We then can take our pre-assembled bottom piece and hardware, center it according to those lines, lining up the corners of our board with the lines we've made on the bottom of this top piece, and then hand screwing in 4 screws to attach it. We apply some bumpers or felt pads on the bottom so it will sit nicely on your table, and then we can turn it over for the big reveal. Whether you put a design on it or if you have a plain board, at this point It should be looking good and turning easily. It's time to add some protectant. I use this polyacrylic spray-on. I did multiple passes turning the board, so I make sure to get the ends and sides as well. I used a paper towel just to dab anywhere where it may have had too much buildup, but it turned out great. I hope you liked it. I hope you'll give me that thumbs up and subscribe so that you can see more content. I've got future videos with other Lazy Susans, including how I make perfectly round circles for my Lazy Susans. Thanks for watching. Oh, my wife's calling. I gotta go.